So Pink Floyd have released new music despite in the past there being fevered assurances that this would never happen. This of course is prompting some to argue that this is not Pink Floyd but just a pale facsimile of a classic band, and for others to ponder what might be in store for Floyd fans a little bit further up the road. I use the term road advisedly here. Welcome classic rock fans to a short video where we discuss all things of classic rock. If you haven't already done so, please do like, subscribe and do all that stuff, and check some of the links below this video for ways you can support the sterling work done here at this channel. It's always much appreciated. Of course we're all familiar with the history of this band, with Waters leaving after the final cut rather than the band being dissolved, and Gilmour and Mason continuing on with the Pink Floyd brand after that with a momentary lapse of reason. Of course the current lineup only includes Gilmour and Mason because Roger Waters is no longer a member of Pink Floyd, and I think Gilmour would rather sit in a bath of vomit than sit in the same room as Roger Waters. And of course we tragically lost Richard Wright some years ago. Arguably of course the momentary lapse of reason really was just Gilmour, because I don't think Mason did hardly any drumming on it at all. And Richard Wright's presence was negligible as well. He was just brought in as a hired musician. Richard Wright, as you know, was sacked during the making of The Wall. Gosh, things must have been rosy in the Pink Floyd camp then. And Momentary Lapse of Reason has been salvaged from that fog of 1980s production affectations to being more timeless, I think is the word Gilmour likes to use. It has that timeless Pink Floyd sound, predominantly because of the inclusion of a lot more Richard Wright parts, stolen from, or borrowed, shall we say, from live performances. And Nick Mason's drumming on that album now is very, very much welcome, absolutely transforming the sound of it, actually making it, in my opinion, a Pink Floyd album. Then of course it was Division Bell in '94, I believe. Then in 2013-14 we got the Endless River, that valediction to the band itself, and of course as a tribute to Richard Wright. With I think there's a new song at the end of that, written, no doubt lyrics written by David Gilmour's wife. And there was that reformation with the four members of the classic lineup got back together, buried the hatchet, so to speak, for a good cause, which very much brings us on to this song. So there has been this dreadful event unfolding in the Ukraine, a war, invasion, or if you're in Russia, a special military operation. I mean, I've seen the pictures, it looks suspiciously like a war to me, but I don't know, the power of semantics, eh? So you got this situation in the Ukraine which has prompted a response from virtually everybody, and why should Pink Floyd be any different? And David Gilmour, of course, has a vested interest in this, as his daughter-in-law is Ukrainian. So the Pink Floyd moniker is back, the band are back to voice this protest, this Ukrainian protest song, or to put music to this Ukrainian protest song as their way of standing up and being counted. So this song, Hey Hey Rise Up, which lifts a line from the actual song itself, this Ukrainian protest song given the Floyd treatment, is in collaboration with Boombox, which was a band, that Ukrainian band that Gilmour had previously collaborated with. Not exactly the Boombox band, my god, you try saying that, but more specifically Andrei Klivnik's, if I've said that right, who has sung this song beautifully, by the way, which Gilmour has used to pad out and surround with this beautiful atmospheric music to make it more Floydish. And this lineup of the bands is David Gilmour, Nick Mason, Guy Pratt and Nittany Sawney, with that, as I said, with that extraordinary vocal performance by Andrei Klivnik. But is it Pink Floyd? That's the burning question that's been lighting up the internet like Macy's at Christmas. But there are those, of course, that argue that without Waters it can never be Pink Floyd. And I understand that argument. Of course, he was the writer behind those conceptual masterpieces that the band put out in the 70s. I also argue, though, that those conceptual masterpieces just would not be anywhere near as beautiful, as brilliant as they are without the musical orthodoxy and grace that Gilmour and Richard Wright and Mason bring to the proceedings. Nevertheless, there are those that say no Waters, no Floyd, who now have got a further string to their bow by arguing no Waters, no Wright, definitely no Pink Floyd. Gilmour has batted away such trollism as being rather curmudgeonly, considering that they've actually got together for such a worthy cause. And Gilmour has stated that if it's him and Nick Mason together, then it is Pink Floyd. Legally, of course, he's right. But when it comes to fans' perception or the way fans feel about the music, then well, that's totally different, isn't it? And Gilmour has gone on to say, is when you're raising funds to alleviate an actual humanitarian crisis, when thousands have been killed and millions have fled their homes, moaning about the absence of a band member 37 years ago is churlish at best. In terms of the sound of the band, you get that Gilmour's trademark ethereal, soaring solos, of course, which makes anything sound like Pink Floyd, as well as beautiful organ parts as well. And one of the trademarks, one of the vital ingredients of the Pink Floyd sound to me is that very languid drumming style of Nick Mason, which is all very much there to give this record that requisite feel, to make it feel like a Pink Floyd song. I suppose we should count our lucky stars that it's not a song written by Polly Samson, but in fact it is this Ukrainian protest song sung by Andrei Klivnik, which has been put together beautifully, I must add. I think it's important to note that Gilmour doesn't sing on this, and I think that's the right decision. I think Gilmour singing on this or any lyrics being added to it might have distracted from the voice and the message and the song itself. Gilmour has said that he felt that this song, which when it was sent to him by his daughter-in-law, he was absolutely blown away by, and felt that we could use this to do some enormous amount of good, kind of like the Live 8 thing, really. And of course he decided to get Nick Mason on board because he felt that this song under the Pink Floyd banner would make a lot more money than if it was just released under his own name. It's also worth noting that Gilmour was aware of Andrei's music before this. It was part of a benefit gig, I think in 2015, to support the Belarus Free Theatre. But the point of this video is to discuss where this may or may not lead. Gilmour has given an interview for Rolling Stone magazine on why he's resurrected Floyd after 28 years. Asked by Rolling Stone how he feels about recording with Nick Mason again, he said that it's fantastic. Nick is like no other drummer. It's a wonderful thing for us to be together playing a song that means something fantastic. Certainly in terms of soloing on this record, he was inspired by the obviously the melody of the song. Gilmour's a very emotional player, and I think he would have dug deep in order to produce a solo that is as beautiful as the one featured on this record. But Rolling Stone asked the burning question that many Pink Floyd fans will have their fingers crossed about, and that was, are you considering more Pink Floyd music, and how did this fit into the rest of the music you're working on? He goes on to state, as he always does, that this is a one-off and nothing ever will happen, nothing will come of this. He's actually working on a solo project at the moment. But you'd have to wonder if he's that motivated to get Pink Floyd together to do this song by this cause. Would it be that much of a huge step forward to consider a benefit concert maybe, where they would headline with some other acts to do something to reform Pink Floyd as they currently are? It'd be interesting to see the band produce an album of this kind of folk music, given the Floyd treatment, with the proceeds going to the cause. They could do that. Or maybe a series of concerts would be nice, wouldn't it? Or just a one-off event for to raise money for the for this situation. And of course, then it leads us into what would we imagine the set list would be if they did do something like that. I, for one, like to see them dust off some classic Floyd stuff, and perhaps dig a little bit deeper and move away from that very staid set list they've been performing since 1988 on the Momentary Lapse of Reason tour. I mean, God forbid, maybe even do something with the Animals album. Gilmour actually the band did actually consider doing Sheep way back in the day after Waters had left, but felt that it somehow just didn't fit in, I think, with the set list that they'd already planned. But anyway, what are your thoughts? Do let me know. What do you think of this song, first of all? Is it Pink Floyd? Do you think there'll be new music? And would you like to see there be some sort of live event? As always, I ask you to leave your comments below. I'm always interested in your input on these big seismic classic rock events. But other than that, I just urge you to keep well, stay safe and healthy and COVID-free. But more importantly, keep listening.